Hello, Brit Lit scholars. Welcome as we come to the 7th week of the fall 2017 semester. So if you're watching this, that means that everything's good. At least I think it is. So hopefully that big purge that just happened did not affect you. I want you to know that I am so far, for the most part, caught up with most of the grading on the postings and on the quizzes. The exam grades itself, so that's an easy grading there. You'll know your results right after. I do want to note one thing about the grading. For some reason, I'm getting all kinds of desperate emails wanting to know why people are getting F's on these quizzes when they get all the answers right. I don't know why it took you till week 6 to say this. I've always, every single week, this has happened, where you go and you get the answers right, but the computer doesn't recognize it. And then I go back in and I change it. And I give you credit for whatever you got right, even though the computer doesn't recognize it. I still recognize it, and therefore your grade goes up. For some reason, this week, everybody wanted to send me emails complaining about the fact that they got the quizzes, they were failing quizzes in which they had given me the right answers. It's been like that every week, and I've always gone back in and given you the grades you've earned. And for those of you that sent me the emails, and then for those of you that did not, every quiz up until about Saturday night at around 10 o'clock or so, every one of those quizzes has been reevaluated, and the correct grades have been added to them. And it will be like that for the rest of the semester. So please don't panic if you get back a grade of 5 out of 10 when you got all 10 right. You'll get credit for all 10. You just got to wait for me to get in there and grade it. All right, so for this week, we've got the Industrial Revolution. Really, it's the Brownings. We've also got Robert Browning. You've got his poem, My Last Duchess. That is a dramatic monologue. But I really want to focus more on the Industrial Revolution because nothing has been more impactful on our world today in the last 200 years or so than the Industrial Revolution has. The Industrial Revolution is when we started having factories. It's when we started having payrolls. It was when we started having labor unions gathering together to stand up to the big money interests. It was when capitalism started becoming the most dominant form of economy, which would replace an agrarian system, which is based on farming. And it was a revolution in many ways because, first of all, it changed the world. The world will never be the same as it was before the Industrial Revolution. Everything that affects your life, from the groceries you buy, to the cars you purchase, to those cell phones and electronics that you love so much, all of that got its start in the Industrial Revolution when people started not relying so much on farming as a way to make a living as on factory work. So you can you really should look at this very closely. A lot of this week's quiz is going to be based upon that opening reading with the Industrial Revolution. You can also use a PowerPoint slideshow as a supplement to that, but I did pull the questions directly out of that opening reading, which is on, it's only like 2 pages introducing you to the Industrial Revolution. And then, of course, we've got the writing by Macaulay, and then we've got the writings by the Child Labor Commission. Those are 2 different sides of the equation. Macaulay is going to look at how, mathematically speaking, England is better off because of industrialization and because of capitalism, because of certain statistics, like health statistics and national wealth and statistics like that. That should sound familiar to you because people still use that argument in America for why America's economy is the greatest in the world. England was doing the same thing back during the Industrial Revolution. But on the flip side of that is this report by the Child Labor Commission that says that the cost of all this prosperity in England is too high, and it has too high a human cost. People are dying as a result of this industrialization. And the worst part was that child labor was legal back then, and not only was child labor legal, child labor was one of the foundations of industrialism and one of the foundations of capitalism, where children were being put to work as early as 6 or 7 years old, and they were forced to go into factories and work 15-hour days, 6 days a week. They were not allowed to go outside and play. They did not get a recess. They were really treated poorly. It was okay for a boss to spank a child or to hit a child with a whip, because these children were not so much children as they were cogs in the industrial machinery. So this Child Labor Commission report will talk about how people in England were so unaware of the abuses of children in the coal mines. Elizabeth Barrett Browning read that, and she wrote, it inspired her to write the poem Cry of the Children. And I want you to pay attention to how the children are crying, because they are not being allowed to be children. They are the cogs in the machinery of the capitalistic industrial society. So, when you read this, know this: art can change the world. Nobody read that commission report that you're going to read, which you only have to read about a page or so of anyway. A lot of people read Cry of the Children because Elizabeth Barrett Browning was a highly popular poet. In fact, Robert Browning, who wrote The Last Duchess, was her husband. And they were the power couple of their time. They were the Beyonce and Jay-Z of their time, if you will, or whatever other power couple you want to plug in here. They were celebrities. And so Elizabeth Barrett Browning used her celebrity as a way to get the message out to England: hey, look at what we're doing to our children. Look at how horrifying this environment we create for our children is. And Cry of the Children did actually have a positive response in the fact that it helped lead to some child labor laws being passed by the British Parliament. So imagine a movie today or a television TV show today being influential enough to actually cause Congress to change laws. I don't know if that would be possible today, but it was when Elizabeth Barrett Browning wrote The Cry of the Children. So this is a very important week in the fact that it is based upon something that still affects us to this very day. We still have the same arguments about factories. We still have the same arguments about air pollution and water pollution. We still have the same arguments about wages. We still have the same arguments about how many hours people have to work, and on and on. This is nothing new, what's going on today. It was going on during the Industrial Revolution. So I really hope that you'll take these readings seriously. I do think you'll enjoy them, and I hope to see some good results on those quizzes and on the Romanticism exams. And I look forward to seeing what you have to say about Elizabeth Barrett Browning and the Industrial Revolution in your essays.